Welcome to Letters from New Zealand. I am John Jarvis. To recap very briefly of the first martial arts podcast, if you are training in a system that has ranks apart from the 3 teachers' ranks, it is not Bujutsu. If it has a belt system or engages in competitions, it is not Bujutsu. But it could be Budo. Early in the 17th century, the first Tokugawa shogunate became aware that thousands of warriors were surplus to requirements. Those of samurai rank retained many of their privileges. If someone of lower rank did not show the correct respect when bowing, they could be cut down. No further action would be taken if the incident was reported to the authorities. Other questionable activities could be pushed to the limit, such as bribing the Emperor's chief sword tester to test a sword on convicted criminals, usually, but not always, dead. Up to 3 bodies piled on top of each other could be cut through, backbones and all. The sword's handle was then removed and the tang engraved with a date and details, adding great value to the sword. The shogunate decided that ex-warriors, rather than fight amongst themselves to defeat an opponent, although this occasionally happened right up until the Meiji Restoration, they should learn to defeat themselves. Budo and classical martial ways was encouraged and promoted. Civilize your mind, but keep the body savage became the maxim. An example of this is an Iaido kata. Using a real sword, the practitioner must execute the kata, then return the sword to the scabbard without looking at it. This dangerous movement is made safe by applying kan, feel. Those who do not and cannot appreciate Zen will not understand Budo. There was a dedicated teacher of kendo who buried a wooden railway sleeper in the ground and had his students beat the beast with iron bars to strengthen their wrists. When asked by a potential student if they did Zen here, he replied, "Yes. We teach you how to put on your armour, and then we hit you." The potential student quietly took his leave, and the teacher's number of students was always small. His attitude was more aligned to modern sport training than classical Budo. Budo potential students should seek out a true master, not an expert technician. Trainees' questions are dismissed. Don't ask, train. This is a time of doing by practicing kata. Let us take this questioning young student and look 10 years into the future. He practices Muso Shindenru Jodo, a 48-inch staff that can still be seen today by policemen guarding the entrances of police stations. Muso was a 17th century master of the rock shakubo, which has many techniques similar to the English quarterstaff. He sought out Musashi, who else, and requested a sparring contest. Musashi initially decline, but relented when he saw the young man's conscientiousness. Musashi had developed his Nito school using both long and short swords, and he captured Muso's shaft in a cross-sword block. This meant that Muso could not disengage without leaving one side unguarded. Defeated, he retired to a mountain to re-evaluate his weapon. There is a plaque there erected in the 1960s. That includes the name New Zealand. We donated towards its installation. Muso's experiments came up with the Jo. Being shorter, it could be handled end to end, with a wider range of techniques. He re-challenged Musashi and forced a draw. They became professional friends. This Jo student, now a fourth Dan, was invited by his sensei to take part in isolated training to observe 4 of the 12 secret techniques developed by the founder. This training only occurred every 3 years. He was not instructed to them, only exposed to them. If he was ready, he could adopt them. If not, he would have to wait another 8 years for them to come around again. An impatient Westerner might suggest that he missed that one. Please show me and I'll buy you a beer. With such diligence and patience required, it is no surprise that traditional ryu are fading away or being made easier. Classical Budo is like learning to type. He or she begins in total ignorance. They know no touch typing, and they know that they do not know and cannot type. All they can do is follow the experiences, or rather the exercises, given them, performing them awkwardly. There is not space here, but further study is required on kiai, the rumbling shout that originates from the stomach to summon one's spirit. Finally, a look at the transformation of Iai Jutsu, the instantaneous drawing and cutting of the sword, to kata. Only Iaido. The first and probably last case of the execution of 2 British naval officers illustrates this. When crossing a bridge, the officers were challenged and ordered off by a guard of a high-ranking official. The officers refused to be intimidated by the locals and stepped back, one to draw his sword, the other his revolver. They were both dead in under 2 seconds, one gutted by the drawing and cutting, the other having his neck slashed by the same blade on its descending stroke. Very large reparations were demanded and received by the British mission. Thank you for listening. Please hit the subscribe thingy at the bottom and keep in good health.